The Beyblade X meta is constantly in flux, and in the last month we have seen an explosion of different combos winning tournaments. So in today's video, we are going to be looking at the top 10 blades that are winning tournaments right now, as well as the variety of different bits that they are being run on. Plus, I'll be giving my first impressions of the Wolf Hunt blade, as well as covering the top 10 anti-meta tournament winning combos that have come up in the last couple of weeks. So, let's get into it. Starting off with a blade that I don't think will surprise anyone with its inclusion, it's Wand Wizard. Now, not only is the 160 Hexa build of this still winning loads of tournaments, but there's also plenty of other builds that people are running it on. It's still very popular on stamina, and although it's not as popular on balance or attack type setups, it is still worth noting that they are still winning competitions. And it's a very similar story for Shark Scale, although this is more popular on attack type builds. Although again, people are running it on everything. There's stamina setups, balance setups, and even defense Shark Scale people are making work. And while we're on the topic of versatile blades, let's talk about Hover Wyvern. Not only is this very popular on the kick balance type build, it's also seen wins on low orb, on attack builds using rush or low rush, as well as taper, gear point, and wedge. And now we're talking about a blade that basically only has one build going for it at the moment. It's Cobalt Dragoon. Everyone's running this on 560 Elevate, if they're winning tournaments, that is. And there has been some previous use of it on level, or maybe on 960 Elevate, so you do have a little bit of freedom to chop and change, but yeah, this is a pretty uniform combo for this blade. Whereas Scorpio Spear kind of started off being more just used on freeball, people seem to have branched out a little bit now. It is netting wins on low orb, as well as level, and even trans kick. And speaking of bays that really like to throw their weight around, next up, it's Blast. Now, this blade has been a strong meta presence ever since its release, and although recently it's mainly been netting wins with balance type builds such as slash 560 kick, bumper 960 level, dual 160 kick, and even wheel 760 point. And we can only assume with the release of the Emperor Lock Chip, the free and heavy assist blades, that this blade is just going to pop up a lot more. And I can tell you from my own testing that the free assist blade works really well on Blast for stamina or defense type combos at absorbing those hits. And the blade has even won a tournament on Emperor Blast heavy 160 kick. So it looks like we well and truly might be living in the age of CX domination. And then another blade that seems to have made a shift over to balance type builds, it's Aero Pegasus. This has seen wins recently on 960 kick and 160 level. Of course, people do still run it on attack builds, stamina builds, and defense builds as well. So really, if you've got this blade, just choose how you want to run it. And the same can be said for Saw Phoenix. Although this is very popular on attack, people are also winning on builds like 570 Hexa or 360 Hexa, as well as 360 point, and of course the balance type builds like 170 kick as well. And there's been some major developments in the Silver Wolf meta. We've seen wins from 960 wedge, 450 underneedle, and 960 glide. So yeah, it's good to see that Wolf is still going strong. And for the final slot of our top 10 tournament winning bays, I've actually had to split it between 4 different blades this time, as these blades aren't as popular as they used to be, but they're still getting results, so you should definitely not discount them. You've got Golem Rock, that appeared on 960 freeball or 760 wedge. Tyranno Beat saw a win on 170 kick. Eclipse got a win on massive 960 kick. And Samurai Caliber saw a win on 970 kick. So when we look at the tournament data as a wider set, we can see certain trends appear. Wand Wizard, Hover Wyvern, and Shark Scale are just dominating right now. 170 ratchets and 450 ratchets are both here to stay as well, and all kinds of builds are seeing wins, although there is still the domination from certain bits in categories like rush and low rush for attack, Hexa for defense, freeball and low orb seem to be very popular on stamina, and kick and level are the dominating balance type bits right now, with kick especially popping up absolutely everywhere. So I guess if you're in doubt, use kick. And if you've got an unusual build, maybe you run it on a taller ratchet than what a lot of people tend to use, or it's a less popular bit, just go for it, because these unusual non-meta builds are still winning quite frequently. So we're going to cover some of these recent tournament winning anti-meta combos right now. Starting off with Tricerepress on 760 rush. This blade doesn't get nearly enough love. It is a very fun one to use, and yes, it's not the most competitive, but as you can see, it's got potential. Then there's Hover Wyvern on 160 the Bound Spike. Bound Spike has kind of been discounted at large by the community, however, it does keep popping up from time to time in tournament-winning decks on a variety of blades, so if you like it, use it. And there's another balance type winner with Tide Whale on 360 point. Tide Whale maybe doesn't get all the love it maybe deserves now because there's so many good options, but it is still a very strong blade. And then we've got a really left field entry with Obsidian Shell on 760 low orb. As although it's a nifty little blade that I do really like, I've only really seen it used on attack type setups before, so it's cool to see that people are branching out and getting results. And another one that I think people weren't really expecting to do as well as it has, it's Clock Mirage. This has been used mainly on 455 ratchets, seeing wins on low orb, wedge, and underneedle. And we've recently also seen a win from Nightmail on 160 Rubber XL. Rubber XL is a bit that seems to pop up from time to time, people using it on glass cannon attack builds. It does very well at potting stuff out, it just has no stamina. And if you're the kind of person that vibes with the orcs from 40k, then this next one's for you. It's Dranbuster on 770 Cyclone. And although Eclipse has popped up a few times in tournament data, I thought the combo of Assault 450 Trans Kick was just wild. But hey, if it works, it works. It feels like someone just went, I'm going to make the lowest CX combo I can possibly do. And then we've got not one, but two different Samurai Saber combos. There's 160 Hexa and 970 low orb. And I have always thought that this blade does best on either stamina or defense type setups. However, I did wonder how it would possibly deal with all these fantastic blades that have now entered the meta. So it's really nice to be proved wrong on that one. And remember what I said about Cobalt Dragoon earlier? Well, that was a barefaced lie, because there was one exception to the rule of it being on 560 elevate. That was Cobalt Dragoon on 760 flat, where flat, under flat, and low flat all do net wins, just nowhere near as much as the Rush family of attack bits. And although we don't have any tournament data for Wolf Hunt as of yet, I thought it would be good to go over my initial thoughts on the blade and test out some different combos based on what we know is popular in the meta right now. And I'm going to do something that I don't usually do, which is talk about stock combos, because I went and gave this a test, not really expecting too much, because, you know, disc ball tends to burst quite easily, and 0.60 people were worried also would have a burst risk, so I wasn't expecting too much, but wow, this thing just absolutely humiliated Shark Scale when I did my testing. And disc ball's been out for a while, so I'm not going to talk any more about that, but the 0.60 ratchet I actually found worked really well on Shark Scale on low rush, so yeah, it's not just for stamina types either, it packs a nice little punch. And if you're interested in Wolf Hunt, Emperor Might, and so many more great Beyblade X products, head on over to our very own site, jesterino.com, and use code UKBBXN to get yourself 10% off. And I haven't had a chance to test out the heavy assist blade on Wolf Hunt yet, however, I will give you a comprehensive list of everything that you need to know to get started on this blade. So just assume that heavy works on every single build, because there's no reason why it wouldn't. But seeing as it has been marketed as a stamina type, let's talk about stamina combos. So if you've got a weighted lock chip, here is the place where you're going to want to use it, as it shifts the center of gravity of the bay to the middle, making it harder to pot out or destabilize. Then for the assist blade, I'm going to recommend free if you want to be able to tank those hits, or if you're not vibing with that or using the part for something else, put wheel on it, and if you don't have access to wheel, maybe use turn. And for the ratchets, you're going to want to go for something balanced like a 360 or 960 ratchet, and for bits, you can't go wrong with free ball, or low orb. Whereas if you're looking to run the Hunt blade on a defense setup, most of the information is the same as stamina. However, for ratchets, you can maybe add in a 160 or 170 to that, and for bits, you're going to want to use Hexa, Wedge, Underneedle, or Dot. And for balance type setups, you can use any of the more aggressive or balance type assist blades, such as Jaggy, Assault, Massive, Dual, Slash, or Turn, and throw that up on a 160, 170, 360, 760, or 960 ratchet. You can't really go wrong with the ratchet on balance types. And then for bits, you're going to want to use something like Taper, Kick, or Level. And for attack types, they share basically all of the same parts except for the bits. You're going to want to throw it up on a rush or low rush, or if you're feeling adventurous, maybe like an underflat. But ultimately, I'm really liking this blade. I think it's got a lot of promise and potential, and I'd really not be surprised if this pops up in the tournament data very soon. But whether it does or not, I'll be sure to cover it, so please consider dropping a like on this video and giving the channel a subscribe. But I'd like to know, what are your thoughts on the latest releases for Beyblade X, and what's your personal favourite combo? Because I'm making a video featuring subscriber suggested combos, which will be coming out soon, so drop yours down in the comments, and I'll see you next time.